Dizzy Sports Titan Game Day Live here at the Mainstay, and that is it for the 2020 Tennessee Titans. Won the AFC South for the first time since 2008, but lose to the Baltimore Ravens at home for the third time in franchise history, 20-13 the final score. Lamar Jackson gets his first NFL playoff win, and a lot of questions to ask head coach Mike Vrabel. Ryan Tannehill with an interception late. Derrick Henry, a very subpar day. Corey Davis disappeared. The Titans defense, you'd think 20 points from the Ravens is enough to win, but only 13 points for the Titans offense. Austin Stanley and Zach Bingham here. Titan Game Day Live, driven by Wilson County Hyundai from the Mainstay. Also presented by the Bone and Joint Institute, CalvinandSettle.com, Renters Warehouse Nashville, and Mill Creek Brewing, with Mill Creek Little Darlin on tap here at the Mainstay. Special every Titan game. Zach, I'll let you start with your first thoughts on the Titans season being done.
Well, my first thoughts is that was embarrassing if you're a Tennessee Titan, if you are a part of that team. Look, the Ravens wanted it more. They played a hell of a lot better in the second half. Lamar Jackson gets his first playoff win, but that was embarrassing. You know, the fight, it just seemed like the Ravens wanted that game more.
And I hate saying things like that.
But
that's what we said about this entire week.
It's the truth.
Is that all the pressure was on the Baltimore Ravens because of the Titans and what they've done against this franchise the last two times out.
And a lot to discuss, but it all comes down to one coaching decision. Austin, 4th and 2 on the opposing team's 40-yard line. Mike Vrabel is an aggressive head coach. Aggressive, smart, physical. That's all the rhetoric we hear week in and week out about this football team. But when push come to shove, he decided to punt. You don't punt in the playoffs. And social media confirmed this of everybody's thought process.
You may grab it? Pro Football Reference, the first time since 1994 that a team in the playoffs punted on 4th and 2 from the plus 40-yard line down by one score in the fourth quarter. I also saw that that punt decision had a coward level of 99 percentile.
I don't get into all of that. I don't get into all of that. I get into Mike Vrabel punting on 4th and 2 in a wild card playoff game against a team that you don't like sends a message to both sides that you are not willing to do whatever it takes to win the football game. I think it sends a message and sent a message to the Ravens. They don't want this, right? Titans don't want this. I think it also sent a message to his own team that you don't rely on your defense, right? That has been the worst thing all year. You go for it. The play calling, and Austin, we sat here and we watched it live from the Mainstay. We got a great atmosphere. It's a little somber because of what just occurred, but Derrick Henry just had his longest run of the day. It was like 9 yards?
8 yards.
8 yards. And then you decide to throw the football. Now, Ryan Tannehill audibled out. It was a incorrect pre-snap read. The safety went over, incomplete to A.J. Brown down the sideline. But Derrick Henry has got to get the football on 2nd and 2, 3rd and 2, and 4th and 2 to advance. That was your opportunity, and they blew it. Mike Vrabel, a lot of questions have to and will be asked in the post-game press conference. That's the first thing that you lead with.
Yeah.
Why did you not go for it on 4th and 2 as an aggressive head coach? That's not aggressive.
Fast and aggressive is the mantra that Mike Vrabel said that he wanted his football team to be, and that was passive. That's exactly what that was. And I've said this for most of this season. When Derrick Henry gains 5 or more yards on a first down carry, give it to him again. That's how Derrick Henry gets rolling with success, and he has his best carry ever of the day. And I know you mentioned that Ryan Tannehill made the audible at the line of scrimmage to change the play, but just run the damn play, right?
Run the damn ball.
And then on 3rd and 2, Derrick Henry's on the sideline.
Whatever happened to the mantra of run the damn ball? They got hats all over Middle Tennessee that says run the damn ball, and they don't do that in a situation where you run the damn ball. This is a sour taste and will be for some time. Now, look, we got a storied rivalry out of it. It will continue. I would expect the NFL will start to schedule these teams regularly, but
the NFL's algorithm doesn't work like that, but it seems like because they're AFC, they will have a lot of games.
They will have more opportunity for those, and when they do, they'll be primetime games, right? Because this is now Lamar Jackson got over the hump, but I think today the Ravens wanted the wind more. It's unfortunate, but again, Austin, it goes to it's uncharacteristic.
Well, and Chris says that loss is on Ryan Tannehill. For doing what? What did Ryan Tannehill do wrong?
No.
Ryan
It's
Tannehill,
not on Ryan Tannehill.
Sure, did he miss a read on the pre-snap on the 2nd and 2 and audible out? Yeah, but that happens. You still had opportunities out there.
But
did he miss?
Khalif Raymond ran into...
And I want to get to that overall in a little bit. We will talk about Corey Davis. We will talk about the lack of wide receiver depth. Nick Westbrook, Ikena, and Khalif Raymond have been relied on at the end of that game where the Titans season was on the line, and that's not good enough. But Zach, let's get to our first question to you guys today. We do this every post-game show, win or lose. What's one word to describe the Titans' loss today to the Ravens? What's one word to describe the Titans' loss today to the Ravens? But first, tell everybody about Wilson County Hyundai.
Yeah, Wilson County Hyundai. You see this right in between us, WilsonCountyHyundai.com. That's where you need to get your vehicle. Make and model, they've got your perfect one. It is a Hyundai. I drive a Hyundai. I absolutely love my Sonata. You can get a brand new Sonata, or you can get their brand new 2021 Palisade, the SUV that Hyundai unveiled a year ago. They've got the second edition of it, and they're in stock. That's at WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
A to Z Sports here live at the Mainstay. Mill Creek beer on draft. If you're coming from the game, make sure you can drink away your sorrows with a little Mill Creek, little darling, $3.50 here on draft during Titans games. What's one word to describe the Titans' loss today? Predictable has a couple in a row. Embarrassing, and Levi Hendricks saying scared. Embarrassing from Joshua. Disheartening, says Shrike. Expected from Allison, saying for her at least. Expected from Joshua. Stupid from Nick. Punked from another person. Coaching from Ryan. Zach, I'll let you go. What's your one word?
My one word is very easy, and it has to do with what happened after the interception. One word to describe the Titans losing to the Ravens: disrespectful. Because the Ravens disrespected the Titans on and off the field. That should have, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but if you do that after a big play, the Titans, they were on the sidelines. It is the biggest power move that you can do in a playoff game where millions of people are watching. And after a massive play, it looked choreographed, right? It was like they planned this at the crucial time. But today's loss was disrespectful to the Titans, and they had a lot of big plays that they made in the second half that, let's just face it, Austin, the Titans could not make.
Yeah, and I'm looking over the team stats because I wanted to make sure I could confirm my word. Total yards, 401 for the Ravens, just 209 yards for the Tennessee Titans. Only 51 rushing yards as a team for the Tennessee Titans. That's absolutely inexcusable, which leads me to my one word: soft. Soft physically, actually out there on the field, and soft mentally from the Tennessee Titans and how they approached this game. This is not the Mike Vrabel team that we've watched.
Uncharacteristic.
This is a soft-ass team.
Right? It's uncharacteristic. This is not how they developed this team. And I think that is the most, I don't know, I mean, it's dumbfounding that they could play complete polar opposite of what they have built, right? Smart, fast, physical, tough, and they didn't do that. And that, I think, that is disappointing to people who watch the Titans week in and week out. Very uncharacteristic, but that's what you get. You get a loss when the Ravens wanted it more. They wanted to advance.
You had an aggressive Ravens defense against a passive that doubted itself. And you can say doubt, like it felt like it could be a word too, because it felt like the Titans doubted themselves and what they were good at when the Ravens were aggressive and confident. And Adoree Jackson looked like for most of the game that he was doubting his abilities out there. There's a lot of, and I haven't heard anything from Mike Vrabel yet. I don't know when the Mike Vrabel press conference will start, but we definitely want answers on a lot of different things.
Yeah, we do, and we will get one. So let's get to this before we get to Ryan Tannehill, because I think the elephant in the room is number 84. You know how I feel about Corey Davis. I don't pull any punches about it. And I don't want to jump the gun and assume, right? Because so one thing that we have to look at and think about, because he did not have his helmet on, did he get hit earlier on in the game? Was he in concussion protocol? Did they, like, why, right? We're going to have to figure out why, because if it is a health issue, it's unfair for either of us to criticize his passion, his want, his drive to be out there when the game is on the line.
Because Corey Davis has played through injuries before. Like,
yes.
He was playing through a turf toe injury all last season. So how this typically works is when a player does not have their helmet, means the training staff took the helmet from the player. That doesn't necessarily mean concussion. It could mean any type of injury where that player's day is over and they take the helmet so the player cannot do anything about it. And so Mike Vrabel's press conference just started. So hopefully we can find a couple answers and we'll relay those to you, and then we will discuss it. But Corey Davis, this just showed the lack of wide receiver depth the Titans have had all season long. And it's something that I talked about back in April. That's why they needed to draft a wide receiver in the draft at some point to have ready for a moment like this. Because Adam Humphries has been missing for the majority of the year.
Since Cincinnati.
And it's basically been A.J. Brown and Corey Davis in the passing game the entire time.
And now Corey Davis wasn't there.
And now and all it takes is one, and we talked about this all offseason long, is what happens when one of those guys gets hurt. When one of them goes down, you've got Khalif Raymond, you've got Cam Batson, but those guys are 4 and number 5 wide receivers. And then now you're forced to have Nick Westbrook out there in do or die season on the line time, and you have nothing. And you drafted Cole McDonald, quarterback out of Hawaii, in the 7th round to cut the first week in camp. The Titans lost today because of lack of bad coaching decisions and bad personnel. And some of that personnel, not John Robinson's fault. Some of that personnel is on John Robinson's fault, but that's why they lost.
So Vrabel asked on the decision to punt. Vrabel said, he thought that the team was playing well defensively and wanted to play the field position game. That is a cop-out. That is a complete and utter cop-out. In a playoff game, don't give me the field position. You win. You go and you try to win the football game. You don't play field position with a bad defense. The defense played better, but it's still bad. They still don't have any pass rush. That wasn't going to happen all of a sudden. So we criticize, and we compliment when they earn compliments. We criticize when they criticize. But the trying to play field position game, that, Austin, is an excuse, not a reason.
And guess what? It's also not. It's not aggressive, nor is it fast. It's none of that. It's soft. It's soft, complacent football. And somebody says, guys, don't forget they won 11 games. Who cares at this point? Because guess what? Now you're going home. I don't care how many games you win in the regular season.
Whoever said that, and we don't have to call him out, that's the guy who coaches a team and gives participation trophies.
Yes, like that's fine. If you win 11,
that was soft.
If you win 11 football games with your second-grade football team, that's fine.
We won't bring him out, but whoever commented that, reassess yourself.
Exactly.
Because you're a participation guy, okay? And you try to win the Super Bowl, right? This is not about trying to be happy with 11-5 in a division title.
No.
Only a certain amount of teams, 14 teams, get the opportunity to play for the Super Bowl or a chance. And you have to win the wild card to get to the next round. You have to advance. So 11-5 doesn't matter. What matters is 4th and 2, because that is the critical part of the game, Austin, right? And It's singular. It's not an overall. It is a singular act that a head coach in a playoff game that is usually aggressive decided to not be.
All right.
It cost his team the game.
All right, so I have an answer on Corey Davis, and it just kind of this. Vrabel on Corey Davis's absence late. He wasn't able to go at the end. That's all we have. I don't know what Mike Vrabel is trying to do by protecting a player for the game they don't have next week by not talking about an injury. But when the season's over, Coach, tell us what happened. Don't try to be coy and try to be this coach speak stuff. Don't give away for your next opponent. That's weak. Why was Corey Davis on the field? Tell us more than he wasn't able to go. Because we all saw that. We all saw that Corey Davis was on the sideline with no helmet. We want to know why Corey Davis couldn't be out there to help his team when they needed a touchdown or the season was over. Because Khalif Raymond was on the field and Corey Davis wasn't, and he fell down for no reason because maybe the wind blew on him and he fell over and it was intercepted.
No, he fell down for a reason. And the reason was he was looking at Ryan Tannehill for the ball and did not see Marlon Humphreys there and ran into him. And Khalif Raymond, to your point, Khalif Raymond is a small wide receiver. He's not big. Corey Davis is big, but Khalif Raymond is not. He was turned, his head was turned, and he hit a wall that knocked him down. Interception, game over.
Like, sometimes I understand that protecting a player's injuries from the media helps a player, but in this case, fans will think Corey Davis is soft if Mike Vrabel does not say that he was dealing with some type of injury. And that, Mike Vrabel, is not fair on your player, Corey Davis, who you talk about all the time, who has a lot of heart and grit. So just tell us the truth. Just tell us something that we can put in our back pocket and say, okay, that's not Corey Davis's fault. That's unfortunate.
And Raymond ran into Marcus Peters. So correction on that, because Marcus Peters made the play and he incited the riot on the midfield logo directly afterwards. It seemed, Austin, Derrick Henry was frustrated throughout the course of the day. Obviously, the entire Titans team was frustrated because of what Baltimore was doing. But the Ravens had a heyday today, right? Leading up to this week, they were upset that they lost in overtime at home earlier in the season. They were upset that the Titans ruined their 14-2 best record in the AFC a season ago, and they got revenge. They got the best of the Titans, right? They got exactly what they wanted. And I guess if I was Mike Vrabel, I'd be a little bit more pissed off.
Here's something that might show that Mike Vrabel is pissed off. This is from Paul Carsey on Twitter. Quote, officials were clearly not calling in any penalties and merely looking to stick around to advance in the playoffs. Now, that's something where I would like to hear Mike Vrabel talk more about that.
Well, Austin, we sat here as we watched the game in the mainstay, and what did I turn to you and say? And you agreed. We were in agreement. I sat there, I was like, man, they're not calling any penalties. In the playoffs, you get less penalties called, right? Because the players need to play the game. They had the big call, the offensive pass interference call that set up 4th and long instead of 4th and 2, or actually it would have been a first down. But besides that, you don't get a lot of calls. So Mike Vrabel, I don't think he's blaming it on the penalties.
No,
or
nor
lack
should he,
thereof.
and nor are we. We are not doing that either.
But he needs to be upset that his team did not play well enough.
Yes.
Right? We have to know what happened to Corey Davis. This is ridiculous. And here's live on air. I sent a text to Buck and I said, press Vrabel on what happened to Corey Davis. And Buck is trying to get a follow-up question, but that was my direction to our own Buck Rising on this press conference. Press him on it. What's wrong with Corey Davis? Was he injured? Was he concussed? Or did you not feel that he needed to be in the game? Because if it's the latter, we got bigger issues for CD, who has disappeared the last 2 weeks. Regardless, the last 3. Look, I've told you about Corey Davis and my feelings on him. He was the number 5 overall pick that did not work out. That's, at the end of the day, he did not work out. One good season that didn't even make to 1,000 yards is not good enough for a number 5 overall pick. If you're a number 5 overall pick, and I I would assume, and I don't know this, I would assume this is probably his last game in a Titans uniform. I don't expect them to re-sign him.
There's a lot of factors that go into that.
I may be wrong,
right.
But at the end of the day, Corey Davis did not live up to the number 5 overall pick.
And guess what?
If you're picked number 5 overall in the NFL draft, your ass should be Julio Jones. You should be A.J. Brown. You should be what A.J. Brown does for this football team. And the fact of the matter is, Corey Davis does not.
Well, and now guess what? Now you have no wide receivers. Like if you let Corey Davis walk, you've got nobody else.
You draft more.
You have,
you draft new ones.
Right there where you have to draft the pass rusher.
You draft new ones.
You have to draft. You
draft new ones.
Then you better go 90% hits on your draft class in 2021. Because you went really close to over on this past draft class, and now you have guys walk away. Now you're having a Corey Davis walk away. You got to re-sign Jonnu. Got to make a decision on Jayon Brown. You have to hit, because of the flop of the 2020 draft class for different reasons, you have to go so high percentage on this upcoming draft class. And even then, you're going to have a gap of growing pains because you didn't do anything about your depth this past year in the draft.
Vrabel asked for a reaction to the Ravens players celebrating on the logo after the Peters INT. Quote, "Nope, I coached the Titans, not the Ravens." End quote. That was his response.
Go ahead.
I think I expected a little bit more grit and fight out of this Titans team that had shown all year long that they had that, you know? I think it's like your parent, right? You do something, you mess up and they sit there and say, man, I'm not mad. I'm just more disappointed. I think that's where I'm at in this Titans team because so uncharacteristic. The fight and grit and the toughness of this team that got them to 11-5 lost them this football game because it disappeared. It dissipated into the wind, and Lamar Jackson said it at halftime. Either Lamar or Derrick Henry was going to come out on top to decide this game. The results are in, and number 8 proved to be the winner.
And Lamar Jackson's final numbers, 17 of 24 throwing for 179, no touchdown passes, did have the one interception, was sacked 5 times. Unreal how the Titans end the season with 9 sacks in the last 2 games. But Lamar Jackson running the ball, 16 carries for 136, had the big 1 touchdown, 48 yards. Like the Titans defense did enough to win the game today. That's the frustrating part. They really did.
The coach did not.
The coach screwed it up, and the lack of personnel on offense and a few really bad play calls and decisions by the offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith, who also might be in his last game as under the Titans organization, and Ryan Tannehill audibling on 2nd and 2, very questionable.
Austin, it is 3:00 on a Sunday. Usually Wednesday is when we throw shade, but John Harbaugh has already done that. John Harbaugh, when asked about this win, this is the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens, quote, "This may be the best win I've ever been associated with." He's won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I know. That's ridiculous. That's John Harbaugh.
He said may. He didn't say is.
That's ridiculous. But John Harbaugh.
But John Harbaugh saying that should, again, it should piss you off if you're the Titans.
That's John Harbaugh.
Getting the best of the Tennessee Titans.
That's John Harbaugh.
Getting the best of the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, he definitely did that. But that's him being caught up in the moment. Dude, get out of here with that. That's ridiculous. The wild card game, I get with what's happened the last 2 years leading up to this moment. Sure, it's big, but you won multiple playoff games. You won the AFC Championship, and you won a Super Bowl. How can you even think about saying that? That's disrespectful to the players you've had in the past to win a Super Bowl. That's ridiculous.
Titans fall to the Baltimore Ravens. Final score is 20-13. Titans season ends with a division title and a home playoff game, but the toughness went out the window when it really mattered. And Mike Vrabel, I think, he'll go back and look at this. He'll watch this game many times. And I think, hindsight's
he will be haunted.
Hindsight is what it is. But fourth and 2, I bet you he wishes he made a different decision.
I don't think anybody watching the show right now is using hindsight for that decision. I don't know. Both of us were saying go for it. A lot of people on Twitter were saying go for it. It was an awful decision and terrible play calls leading up to that, to do that as well. A to Z Sports here live, Titan Game Day live from the Mainstay, driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Now it's the time of the postgame show where we grade the performance from quarterback Ryan Tannehill. How do you grade Ryan Tannehill's performance today in the Titans' loss? But first, let me tell you guys about Renters Warehouse. RentersWarehouse.com, the professional landlords in the Nashville area. Renters Warehouse Nashville is the place to go to help you get long-term equity if you want to rent out your home or another piece of property that you own. They can help in so many different ways. Make it easy on you. Don't do it yourself. Too many changing regulations and a lot of codes that mess that up. Let the pros do it. Also, if you currently rent out your home, go to renterswarehouse.com for some of their great inventory for your next home here on renterswarehouse.com.
Titan Game Day Live, the last Titan Game Day Live, unfortunately, of the season. The Titans lose. Ryan Tannehill, as you will read his stat line, but it didn't do enough. And at the end of the day, the interception, look, Marcus Peters stepped up, but Khalif Brayman went down. And I'm not saying that pick was all Ryan Tannehill's fault, but A.J. Brown was wide open.
So Ryan Tannehill's final numbers, 18-26, 165, one touchdown in that dreadful pick at the end. He was only sacked once.
A.J. Brown was wide open.
6 catches, 83 yards, and a touchdown for A.J. Brown.
What are you doing throwing to Khalif Raymond?
It's tough. It's really tough.
What are you doing throwing a seam route to Khalif Raymond? The only time you throw to Khalif Raymond is when he's behind the defense. And that's a Tannehill problem.
Well, it's also a Titans roster problem. It's also a John Robinson problem because Khalif Raymond had to be on the field.
I know.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, Nick Westbrook is getting too many snaps. And the fact that they could have nobody, Raymond, Batson included, beat out Nick Westbrook for snaps is ridiculous. But how do we grade Ryan Tannehill?
Overall, unfortunately, this is an F. I'm going with the extreme because Ryan Tannehill, and this is why I'm going to do this, and it is an extreme, but it's a very important game. He's played at an elite level for the last 2 seasons, and Austin, the Titans knew offensively that the Baltimore Ravens were going to do everything in their power to stop Derrick Henry. They did, right? So then it was going to be on Ryan Tannehill to excel and accelerate his level of play, elevate, and he was unable to do this. He failed. Like when they needed him the most, he failed. So I give him a failing grade. I give him an F.
So how do you grade Arthur Smith?
Also, the F, the pre-snap audible. That's on Tannehill.
Okay, but how do you grade Arthur Smith? Because I don't think Arthur Smith had a
I'll give him both Fs. Fail them both.
Yes, I mean, if you're going to fail Ryan Tannehill, then you have to fail Arthur Smith. Because I think Arthur Smith was considerably worse than Ryan Tannehill was today. Because that second half was so unimaginable. I mean, there was no creativity. There was no deception. Like, a couple times, Arthur Smith had great play calls that included some deception and some eye candy that made big plays. One was a 3rd and 1 crossing route pass to Ferkser for a big catch and run. But Arthur Smith was worse than Tannehill. I give Arthur Smith like a D. I give Ryan Tannehill a D-. Like, the interception is not on him.
Come over to the F train.
I'm not on the F train.
We dropped 2 F-bombs this week. You can go ahead and drop another one.
I just dropped 1.
We
collective. Okay.
We A to Z.
That's fine.
We're a team.
1 apiece. I get you there.
Well, and so I
think an
again,
F.
I don't usually give out Fs. I don't. Like, I try to be sensible. I try to be logical. But because of the way that this game went and Ryan Tannehill and the lack of production down the stretch, again, they did give Baltimore credit. They contained Derrick Henry to the best of their abilities. So it was going to be on 17, and 17 failed. A.J. Brown was wide open.
Yeah, I know.
I'm going to continue to say that. What the hell are you doing throwing to Khalif Raven on a seam route where safeties are looming? What the hell are you doing? Don't do it.
I don't know, because there's no safety over top of A.J. Brown.
No, he beat his guy.
Yeah.
A.J. Brown, open, always, right? Isn't that the thing? He's always open.
Yes. Yes.
And at the biggest point in the game, besides 4th and 2, he was open.
Tannehill wasn't good by any means, but he wasn't. I think Arthur Smith today was worse than Tannehill, and that's why I give the grades that I do. But this game, and like I said,
it's just a hard pill to swallow.
It is, because they screwed it up. They screwed it up. They had the best offense, most explosive offense, 2,000-yard rusher. Ryan Tannehill scored 40 touchdowns in the regular season, 1,000-yard receiver, Pro Bowl wide receiver, and A.J. Brown. They screwed it up because they played and coached soft.
Where's Corey Davis?
And Corey Davis obviously dealing with something, but we can't get an answer on it. And that's not fair to Corey Davis.
It's not fair to us.
Or the fans.
It's not how it works, right? That's not how this works.
Mike Vrabel doesn't care about how we are treated fairly. He cares about
what are the fans?
The fans, yeah.
Does he care about the fans?
Yes.
Then if he did, he would tell the reason why Corey Davis didn't have his helmet.
I was about to get to that. But yes.
On the side.
Yeah, he doesn't care about us. He doesn't care about the media being fair to the media. He cares about being fair to his players first and then the fans.
Well, that's why the media is here. The whole reason for the media, look, the NFL doesn't need any more publicity. Don't get that twisted, right? It's got plenty of money, plenty of pub, plenty of contracts. The reason for the media is to be the third-party arbitrator. It is to ask the tough questions.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying what Mike Vrabel feels. Will says Corey just got benched. No, he wasn't. If he got benched, he would have had his helmet on, or his helmet in his hand.
Again, we can't speculate. We don't know. They asked the question.
Phelan says that he was limping. I couldn't tell. I wasn't there. Nobody that was in the press box
he was non-existent most of the game. So, right, like even in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, Corey Davis wasn't around. Like he wasn't getting targeted.
He was on the sideline. The fourth quarter, and I don't understand why. Like, tell us more about that, because that's
plus if you're the Titans should have they played smart because they didn't take the bait, but the Ravens stomping on the midfield logo like that, it's kind of a taste of their own medicine.
Well, it could have helped you though in that situation. The Ravens were pretty dumb to do that.
The defense is so bad.
They could have waited. They could have waited 2 minutes to do that, but I mean, they took advantage of the moment in that situation, the interception to basically kill the game. But the 15-yard penalty, the Titans defense still had a chance to get a stop. Carlos says Vrabel might be gone. That's ridiculous. Like,
don't even read those comments. Don't even read
Okay,
those.
but there's been more than that. But I can address it. If somebody comments on our show, I can address it, Zach.
That's ridiculous.
Don't try to censor me on our show. Don't try to do that.
You read a dumb comment.
And that's on you. I know.
You have the choice.
I know.
You can prevent forest fires.
Other people, Zach, have been commenting about Vrabel sucks. Vrabel needs to go.
Look, he had a bad game.
And that's me addressing that's ridiculous. Zach, all the time we bring up bad comments and tell them how bad they are.
That's the extreme.
So why? What?
It's not even worth the breath.
I have an opportunity to take it and put it in its place. And that's where it needs to go. In its place in the trash can. So if you would have not said anything, I would have been done with that rant a minute ago.
Well, because it didn't even deserve the breath.
Okay.
Mike Vrabel's head football coach. Usually he's good. Today, he was bad.
Really bad.
And look, we got plenty of time to react tomorrow morning about what just happened. The Corey Davis, hopefully find some more information on that. And 4th and 2. And, this team, unfortunately, as we, kind of put a bow on this season, and we'll, again, there's a lot to discuss, but they never took the step to great, right? And I always kind of go back to that
they wasted this entire season. They wasted it. There's no other way to say it. They wasted the entire season today.
The Texans wasted a season on Deshaun Watson. I would call this season a waste. That is, I think, unfair. I would love to debate you tomorrow morning.
Well, that's why we have tomorrow morning show.
Yeah, I'd love to debate you tomorrow morning because I'd like to hear what some more people think about that. I think it's a good question. And respect your opinion. I just disagree.
All right, guys, we'll be live tomorrow morning from Mandu and Green Hills. A Buck Rising coming up tonight for A to Z Sports Primetime. Thank you to everybody at the Mainstay. It's been another incredible season here live at the Mainstay, Titan Game Day Live at the Mainstay, driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Also, thank you to our season-long presenting sponsors, the Bone and Joint Institute, CalvinandSettle.com, Renters Warehouse Nashville, and Mill Creek Brewing from Nolensville, Tennessee. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Super Wild Card Sunday. We'll be live tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock Central Time. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you later.